review.
Who's got the sweetest disposition? One guess who? Who never starts an argument? Who never shows a bit of temperament? Who's never wrong but always right? Who never dream of starting a fight? Who gets stuck with all the bad luck? No one but Donald Duck.
Hello, Internet viewers. I'm the Fairly OddGamer, and this is it. We're almost at the end of Donald Duck month. Oh man, where did the month go?
Well, Gamer, time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, except for the last game that I reviewed.
I know, but don't you remember I said to you last time?
There's a possibility to end the month on a good note.
Exactly. So, Gamer, what game did you say you want during the month on?
I'm glad you asked, Donald. The games I'll be talking about today are based on the well-known Disney cartoon series, DuckTales.
Oh, boy.
But before I do, I wish for the proper fanboy attire. There we go. Now, on with the review. In my opinion, DuckTales is one of the most well-known animated shows of all time by Disney. The show premiered in 1987 with a 5-part TV movie entitled The Treasure of the Golden Sun, and the show would later respawn exactly 100 episodes in over 4 seasons. While the show was based on a comic book series from Mind of Anything, it was the first Disney cartoon to ever be produced for weekday syndication. Since then, the show got its own spin-off movie in 1990, and even a reboot on Disney XD in 2017, which is still running to this very day. And who could forget the catchy but classic theme song? Life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg. Race cars, lasers, aeroplanes. It's a Duckburg. Might solve a mystery or rewrite history. DuckTales, woohoo! Every day they're out there making DuckTales.
Ah, Donald, my nephew! How'd you get into this place?
Who knows? That's be magic.
I see.
Wait a minute. Are you Scrooge McDuck, the richest duck in the world?
Oh, why, yes! How did you know?
How do I not know? I happen to be a huge fan of your work, as you can tell from the merchandise.
Oh, well, you look nice. For a fan, that is.
Well, thanks, Scrooge.
Wait a moment. Donald, isn't he that Fairly OddGamer fella you keep talking about?
That's right.
Well, cast me kilts. I never thought I'd see you here. Anyway, I heard you were doing a DuckTales review for my wonderful nephew. Is that true?
Why, yes. Yes, it is. I was going to say that the show has had its share of video games throughout the show's success.
Bless me bagpipes. This ought to be interesting. So, Gamer, what game do you have in store for your review?
Well, Scrooge, it turned out that I'm reviewing all of them.
Wait, begging your pardon. All of them?
All of them.
Oh, Gamer.
All of them.
All of them?
Okay, we get it now. First up, we have DuckTales for the NES. So we say that the game was made by Capcom, a company that is best known for the Mega Man series at the time. And I say this because this game does feel like I'm playing a Mega Man game. Why is that? Well, more on that later. Graphically, it looks amazing. Well, for an NES game, that is. The characters look incredible, as if they were taken from the show. I'm not going to explain why Scrooge is wearing a red coat instead of a blue coat, seeing that he did wear a red coat in the show's reboot. Some of the other characters include Launchpad McQuack, who at certain times asks you to return to Duckburg, and both the nephews, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and Webby that give you helpful advice as well as a few pointers along the way. And while the boss guards look fitting for each world, there are 2 bosses that I easily recognize, Magic and a Spell and Glumgold, the second richest duck in the world.
Oh, that Glumgold! I can't even imagine how many times he's tried to be the richest duck in the world. But then again, after many attempts, he's never achieved his goal at all.
I know. I used to work with him at one point.
What?
Oh, that year went to the reboot.
Alright, I do remember that. I gotta sound different in that reboot too.
Fantastic.
Anyway, there are 5 levels in this game, and each of them are memorable in different ways. The Amazon has some sort of rainforest aesthetic to it. It has everything from apes, spiders, Incan slaves, and bees.
Not the bees! Ah!
Transylvania feels like I'm playing through Mega Man mixed with Castlevania. It includes skull ducks, duck mummies, ghosts, and mirrors that transport you from one location to another. The Amazon mines have an underground vibe to it, which I like, but it's filled with slugs, green ducks, I think, and dare I say it, bats.
They're great survivors.
I don't know why the bats act like the devils from Ghosts and Goblins, but that's just a coincidence. But I must point out that this level has to have one of my favorite music tracks in the entire game. It's groovy, catchy, and just, well, memorable. I just love the soundtrack to this game. It's just amazing. Anyway, back to the levels. The Himalayas has snow and ice, as well as snow bunnies and angry snow ghosts. And that's it. And then there's the moon. I have to say, in all honesty, this is one of the main reasons why this game feels like a Mega Man game. The level design alone explains why. It has bright and colorful graphics, and the texture of the spaceship definitely feels like Dr. Wily's temple. Or something like that. Gameplay-wise, it's pretty simple. You control Scrooge's movements with a control pad and press the buttons to either jump or use his weapon, a cane. Not only is his cane used as a weapon, but it's also a pogo stick of all things. As a pogo stick, it's pretty much self-explanatory. As a weapon, it can be used to bounce on enemies and even swing at boulders to destroy high-reaching enemies, as well as treasure chests that contain money for Scrooge to collect. Because after all, he is the richest duck in the world for a reason.
Ah, you said it, gamer. Whenever there's gold lying around, I do whatever I can to find it and keep it with me in my vault.
Ah, good to know. While there are 5 levels in the game, you can travel to any location in any order you choose, like in Mega Man. Throughout each level, Scrooge has to find certain treasures such as the Spectre of the Incan King, the Coin of the Lost Realm, the Giant Diamond of the Inner Earth, the Lost Crown of Genghis Khan, and the Green Cheese of Longevity. At the end of each level, you have a boss guard, or treasure keeper as the game calls it. And what are these battles like? Well, think of them as the robot master battles from the Mega Man games. You bounce on them with your pogo cane, and hitting them enough times causes them to fall, and therefore revealing the treasure hidden in a chest. After completing a level, the money you earn for each level gets added to your total amount of money earned from previous levels, plus an additional $1 million for every treasure Scrooge manages to retrieve. There are some things that I don't like very much. For example, the Himalayas is covered with snow. Lots and lots of snow. And unless you make contact with an enemy while bouncing on the pogo cane, you end up getting stuck in the snow. I'm also not a big fan of tight controls, even though it's somewhat of an issue in the original Mega Man games. Some instances include having to simultaneously press B and down in mid-air to have Scrooge bounce on the pogo cane, and getting hit disables the pogo cane until the next time you jump. After collecting all the treasures, Glumgold takes the treasures away from Scrooge and tells him that in order to get the treasures back, he has to come back to Dracula Duck Manor. Back in Transylvania, Scrooge gets back to the boss area where we see Count Dracula Duck himself, or as I like to call it,
Count Duckula.
The boss battle may look easy, but it's actually harder than it looks. You have to bounce on bats in order to get enough height to bounce on Duckula. After defeating Dracula Duck, Glumgold races Scrooge to the treasure. One quick chain climb to the top, and Scrooge gets the treasure back, resulting in Scrooge once again being the richest duck in the world, with some help from the nephews. The end. DuckTales on the NES is a fantastic game. It feels like I'm playing through an extended episode of the show, maybe a story arc if possible. Scrooge controls pretty well, despite the controls being tight, and the level design looks incredible. The characters look exactly like the show, and some of the enemies look pretty good as well. The music is incredible to listen to, and hearing an 8-bit rendition of the DuckTales theme is always a joy to my ears. And once again, the music heard in the African Mines is my favorite music track in the whole game, but the Moon theme being a close second. Overall, the game was a huge success and was praised by both critics and audiences. So successful that a sequel was made 4 years later.
Wait, there was a sequel?
Yep, DuckTales 2 was released in 1993.
Bless me bagpipes! You know, I once found a copy at a game convention, and boy, I was lucky enough to find one.
And how'd it go?
Yeah, the Scrooge. I did turn out.
Well, it didn't turn out very well. Want to know why?
Why?
Look at the price for that game! $175! I was shocked to see that a rare game would cost so much money. Now, gamer, I have to know where you got that game.
Well, Scrooge, it wasn't easy, but after searching high and low, I did find a copy of the game that cost about $30. This right here is that copy. So is it as good as its predecessor? Let's find out. As the game starts, Huey runs into Scrooge and shows him a torn piece of what appears to be a map drawn by Scrooge's father, Fergus McDuck. and thus Scrooge sets off on his treasure hunt to find the missing pieces of the map. However, Glumgold is back as he tries to retrieve the lost treasure of McDuck. And that's about it when it comes to the story. So now, on to the game! First off, we see the game has no change when it comes to presentation or gameplay. The characters look the same, and some of the levels look similar to its predecessor. Like the previous game, you have 5 locations to choose from in any order you choose. Some of my favorite levels include Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls!
Yeah, that. It has a beautiful setting with stones and a segment where Scrooge has to make his way across the waterfall with falling logs. And Moo, which looks similar to the Amazon, but with stone. There are also levels like Egypt. And what's it like, you may ask? Well, in the words of Anakin
In the words of Andy Skywalker,
It's coarse and rough and irritating.
And it gets everywhere. I should know. I've been to Egypt many times.
Wow. Clearly I have 2 ducks that know more about Star Wars than I do.
you realize I've been here for all months, right?
Yeah, good point. There's also Bermuda, which I first thought was going to be set at a beach. But nope, there's a terrible storm in the Bermuda Triangle, and most of the level takes place in a sunken ship. Overall, the sequel looks pretty nice, so I can't really imagine why this game didn't do very well.
Hey dude, did somebody say beach?
Yeah, that's what's up.
Nothing much, gamer. How's it going, Donald?
Alex,
Amazing! A green and white husky with pink hair. It must be a hybrid. Excuse me, gamer.
Yes, Scrooge?
What exactly is this adorable creature?
Ah, yes. Hey, Hux.
Yeah, dude?
I'd like you to meet Scrooge McDuck, the richest duck in the world.
my uncle.
Yeah, what he said.
Ah, Hux. How do you do?
Very well, thanks. Anyway, I was just curious. Later, dudes!
Anyway, let's talk about the differences regarding gameplay. First off, you can upgrade Scrooge's cane, which include breaking iron boxes and grabbing onto a crate dragging it in order to get some extra goodies. Also, I forgot to mention that dying in the previous game lets you keep the money you earned in each level. However, dying in this game results in having all your earned treasures reduced to 0. So basically, losing a life in this game makes you lose every single bit of money you've earned. That is, until you complete a level. Similar to the first game, there's a boss guard at the end of each level. Defeating each boss lets Scrooge get the treasure. But unlike the first game, you end up going to a shop that stores multiple items that let you get more energy and even extra lives. One of my favorite items in this game is the safe. And it's important because if you die while having the safe, then you don't risk losing all the treasures you have found in any level. After defeating the bosses and getting all the treasures, Glumgold captures Webby and holds her hostage on a pirate ship in the Bermuda Triangle. Once Scrooge finds Glumgold, Glumgold takes the treasure and we find out that Glumgold was a robot the whole time.
Now this I remember. Glumgold transformed himself into a shape-shifting robot that was programmed to stop me from getting back the treasure.
And you'd be right about that. The boss battle is not that hard to beat. Just dodge its attacks and bounce on them at the right time. After defeating the robot, Glumgold decides to sink the ship holding treasures as well as the passengers in the ship. After Scrooge saves Webby from Glumgold, the ship sinks to the bottom of the ocean. Even though they didn't get the treasures back, Scrooge learns that the real treasure are his friends and family. But suddenly Launchpad gets the treasure from the ship and everyone lived happily ever after. DuckTales 2, in my opinion, isn't that bad. It plays about the same as its predecessor and I think the level design is pretty good. The music is pretty good too, even though it's not as memorable as the first game. Is it better than the first game? No, but I think it has potential for a remake of some time. If you want to play this game, but don't have the money to get a physical copy of the NES version, then I would recommend getting the Game Boy version, or getting the Disney Afternoon Collection for the Xbox One, PS4, and Steam. It includes both DuckTales games on the NES, as well as other tie-in games such as Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers 1 and 2, Tailspin, and Darkwing Duck. Either way, you'll still be able to experience the sequel of a well-known classic. And speaking of remakes, there'll be another game 20 years after DuckTales 2 where fans can experience the original NES game, but enhanced. The game is DuckTales Remastered. What I have here is a physical copy of the game on the Xbox 360. I say this because as of a few weeks ago, the game was delisted from all digital stores as a result of the expiration of Capcom's licensing deal with Disney.
Really? Oh, curse me kilts. I can't believe Disney would do such a thing.
What's your big idea?
I know. Anyway, let's finish up the video and the month with DuckTales Remastered. While we see that the original game was made by Capcom, the remake was developed by Waveport Technologies, which would later be responsible for the Shantae series. Already the game looks much better than the NES game. We hear an enhanced version of the DuckTales theme in the menu, and so far it looks pretty nice. And there is one thing that separates the original from the remake, and that is that the remake has a proper backstory. We see that Scrooge's money bin is being infiltrated by the Beagle Boys, and Scrooge immediately hastens to the limo driven by Ducksworth, the butler. Scrooge makes his way to the money bin, and the money bin is filled with swinging hammers coming out of each door. And suddenly,
Uncle Scrooge! Uncle Scrooge up here!
Oh, Huey! Are you all right, my boy?
yep, it turns out that the Beagle Boys not only won Scrooge's money, but also managed to capture Huey, Dewey, and Louie in the process.
Oh no! Not my nephews!
My boys! Gamer, you have to save them!
Yeah, Gamer, you gotta save them!
You got it! Well, it turns out that the Beagle Boys tampered with the security system, and it's up to Scrooge to get the money bin back to normal. After beating up the Beagle Boys with hammers, one distracted by a sandwich, Scrooge makes it to the office as he finds the big-time Beagle about to steal the Price's painting. However, Beagle puts on his army hat, protecting him from any pogo hits. The way to defeat him is to have Ducksworth lower stage held on by a rope. Scrooge then swings the artifacts thrown by Beagle at the rope, therefore dropping the safe on top of the Beagle, then pogo jump on him, therefore inflicting damage on him. After defeating the big-time Beagle, the Beagle retreats and he finds his secret code, which is then revealed to be a treasure map.
And no ordinary treasure by the look of things.
Only Uncle Scrooge would call any kind of treasure ordinary.
I heard that!
We find out that there are treasures hidden in multiple areas. And seeing that it's a remake, you probably know what the locations are. The Amazon, Transylvania, the Amazon mines, the Himalayas, and the moon. And just how far away is it from here to the moon?
Well, Gamer, if you pay attention, then one of me nephews can tell you how far. Tell him, Huey.
According to the Junior Woodchuck's guidebook, to get there we'd have to take about 537 million steps straight up till we reach the moon.
Wow, that seems pretty high up.
Yeah, you need a really go yada to drop a blood eye.
Well, there's no way I'm doing that. And finally, we get to play through the levels from the original game. Now, before I talk about these levels, there's one thing I want to show off, and that is the gold vault. Remember in the show when Scrooge dives into the gold coins and swims around in it?
I like to dive around in it like a porpoise.
Well, I get to emulate that very scene in the game.
Ach, there's only one thing better than owning a vault full of cold, hard cash, and that's swimming in it. I like to dive around in it like a porpoise.
Nothing much to it, just wanted to show it off.
So, Gamer, ready to start now?
You bet I am. Let's do this. The levels in this game look much better than the NES version. In fact, it feels like they took every element from the original game and enhanced it for a visual appeal. Even the characters look like they've been taken straight from the show and pasted them into the game. I know it's ahead of the time, but I think this game feels like Cuphead before Cuphead. The cartoon graphics fit perfectly in this game. Even the gameplay feels much better than the original. No more button combos and whatnot, and instead have the pogo cane take one button press. Also, if you pause the game, you then get a map showing where Scrooge is and where each item is located at in order to complete the game. I love this idea because it gives you a better idea on what you have to find and where you need to go. And the music, oh my goodness. The music in this game is much better than the original. Jake Kaufman, the composer for this game, did an incredible job enhancing the game's music for all the levels, especially the Amazon mines. Even though the original version was groovy and catchy, this version took it to the ultimate extreme. I could jam to this version whenever I play through this level. Even though it is a remake, the game does have its share of changes. Not only is this an enhanced version of the original, but I feel that it's more of an expanded version of the original game. In addition to the money bin level in the beginning of the game, there's also the challenge of completing additional tasks before reaching the boss guard for each level. It gives you the opportunity to explore more of the area, which I like. While the boss battles look better in here, I feel that fighting them is much easier than the NES version, especially the final battle against Drake von Gladstone, or
Count Duckula.
Wait a moment, Gamer. Would it be okay if I explain what happened before my encounter with Dracula Duck?
sure, go right ahead.
Thank you. Once I got all the treasures, me nephews were captured by the Beagle Boys in Glomgold, who bargained me their safety for my treasures. After Magica the Spell appeared, claiming that she sold me the painting in order for her to revive Gladstone, she captured me nephews and exchanged the safety for me lucky dime. Because of this, I teamed up with Glomgold to save me nephews in return for the treasures. After I reached the top of Mount Vesuvius, we both find Magica's hidden fortress, and Glomgold ends up stealing me dime.
Well, Scrooge, you are more brave than Duck.
Aye, after all, they are me family.
Now may I continue the review?
Be my guest, gamer.
Thank you. Not only do you have to bounce on bats to give him extra height, like in the original, but Scrooge also has to avoid falling bats, fire breath, and getting bit by Duckula himself. After defeating Dracula Duck, we reveal that Glomgold was in cahoots with Magica the whole time. And now we get to the point that I hate the most.
Oh? What exactly do you mean, gamer?
Yeah, Gamer, what's the matter?
Well, allow me to explain. In the original game, all you have to do is climb the chain to the top to get to the treasure, therefore ending the game. But in here, you have to not only climb up multiple chains, but also platform your way up. What's even more annoying is making the jumps to the bottom of the chain while trying to climb to the top. In order to get to the top before Glomgold does, you have to not stay in one area for too long and make it to each area as quickly as possible. Once that's done, the game is finally done, right? Nope. You have to escape the collapsing fortress by climbing out multiple chains to the top while avoiding rising lava. I can't stand this section because there are times where I am pressing up only to not have Scrooge touch the chains, which results in Scrooge dying. After multiple attempts and 34 long minutes later, Scrooge managed to barely escape the mountain while Glomgold and Magica escaped with the treasure. Despite that, they realized the adventure they had together was the true treasure the whole time. However, Glomgold and the Beagle Boys get arrested, and Scrooge and the nephews go out for ice cream. The end.
So, gamer, how are the games?
Yeah, we're glad to do on the best.
Well, to be honest, I love these games. It feels like I'm playing through extended episodes of the show, but in game form. The original DuckTales game on the NES was incredible back in the day, and seeing that it was made by some of the personnel that made Mega Man a hit, it makes sense as to why this game has some replayability value to it. Everything, from the levels, characters, and even the music makes it an incredible NES game, and I think it still holds up to this very day. While DuckTales 2 didn't do as well as its predecessor, I feel that it's underlooked and something that can be revamped so that gamers can have a better experience with this game. As I said before, the only way you can get a physical copy of this game is to be either as rich as Scrooge or get lucky by purchasing this game for a lower price. Other than that, you can play this game with an emulator, the Game Boy, or on the Disney Afternoon Collection. DuckTales Remastered is the one game I would recommend because it has a clear story, awesome graphics, awesome music, and an enhanced version of a game that was already popular at the time. Despite the one challenge at the end of the game, this game may be one of the best games I ever played so far. I just love this game. But if you have some free time, then feel free to play these games whenever you can. You can get as much enjoyment for playing the games as well as watching both the original show and its reboot. And with that, we have reached the end of Donald Duck Month. Donald, thank you so much for taking part in this.
Thanks, Gamer. And remember, when you play everything more games starring me, you know what to do.
I will. Thanks, Donald.
You know, gamer, I can't help to think that I helped you out as well. For this review, that is.
That is true.
Say, Donald, since you're here, I want to talk about all my adventures while you were in the Navy.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
So long, gamer. Hope to see you again someday.
My Gamer, it was so much fun to run these games with you.
Bye, guys. I'm gonna miss those guys. I'm the Fairly Odd Gamer, and I wish you all good luck for the rest of your day or night, wherever you are. Take care, everyone.